Hey everyone, this is Iceman, and welcome to my Deep Stone Crypt raid guide. I'm excited to get this out here. I've Sherpa'd every single raid in Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 over a long time, and I enjoyed this raid so much. I wanted to get out a video detailing my perspective as a Sherpa and trying to help other people complete the raid and get it into a video to hopefully help a lot of you get through these encounters and get your raid completion. The first encounter is a pretty straightforward one. After you spawn in, you clear some ads, and then hop on your Sparrow, make your way through a big door, and then basically just get your way through a blizzard, hitting some checkpoints along the way on your Sparrow. There is a triumph for getting all 6 of the dreg speeders through to the very end, so you can consider doing that. And there's a quote-unquote glitch method that makes that a lot easier. But if you're doing the encounter for real the first time, which I would recommend, you're going to hit some checkpoints along the way. When you come through the door, you'll see a shelter from the storm buff come up when you're underneath a big orb that has lights on it. That buff keeps off the frostbite debuff when you go out into the storm that builds up the longer you're out there. And when you hit 10, you wipe, you die. You have to restart from the last checkpoint that you were at. Make your way following the lights through from orb to orb, making sure that you keep your frostbite count at 0 as you're going through the orb. You clear ads at each orb, and then make your way towards the end where you see 2 brigs in the final orb to make your way through the door. The glitch method is you get on your Sparrow outside of the orb, you get the frostbite debuff to show up, you get off of your Sparrow back into the orb where you have the shelter from the storm buff. Then you get back on your Sparrow that's still sitting outside of the orb, and you'll have the shelter from the storm buff the whole time you're on your Sparrow or off your Sparrow. The only time that you're going to need to refresh this is if you die along the way. But this allows you to not get frostbite and spend as long as you want going through this maze. Make sure that you follow along the lights. There's a chest along the way right before the brigs that you can grab. Clear out the brigs and the ads at the very end, make your way through the door, and head on to the first encounter. All right, everyone, welcome to the first encounter. This encounter is pretty straightforward. They start introducing 2 buffs to you. Operator buff, this red buff here, and then there is a yellow buff that spawns called the Scanner or Seeker buff. The idea of operator buff is you have to punch or shoot panels or things that are marked in red, as you'll see later on in the video, to open the doors in this encounter, and then to shoot panels that the Seeker calls out underneath to start the damage phase on these 6 fuses. There's 3 on this light side. We call this the light room. And then there are another 3 on the dark side here. Looking straight at them, the fuses are left, center, and right. How you start the encounter, 1 person, you should split your teams up into 3 and 3. The recommended loadouts for this encounter are just add clear weapons. I really enjoyed running Risk Runner. A sword is very good because you'll have some overload champions that spawn. So having some overload rounds, overload grenades are helpful, but swords, you're able to basically take those champions out if you're a decent enough light. Shotguns are good as well, especially for damaging. A good perfect paradox. Fourth horseman, as I said before. Anything that does high damage where you don't get a crit. Because these fuses are the things you're going to be damaging. And they obviously don't have crits. So, Xenophage, grenade launchers, Fourth Horseman, a fast-firing shotgun, anything like that will do more than enough damage to these fuses to get through the encounter. So, once you have your team split up 3 and 3, you have someone that is assigned the operator buff on the light side, and you have someone that is assigned to pick up the scanner buff on the dark side. Once the operator buff is picked up, the encounter starts, and the operator comes over to this door and is ready to shoot this panel. Once the operator buff is picked up, ads will start spawning. Your teammates clear out ads, and then the scanner buff will be on a dreg that spawns on the dark side. Once the scanner buff is picked up, that teammate starts looking for panels that are lit up yellow. They'll be highlighted yellow through the glass here. So there's 4 spots where the seeker or the scanner can look, and they need to look for these panels that are lit up to call out to the person that has operator buff that will be underneath. This is the panel that they need to hit or shoot. So the seeker goes to these windows. They look through the windows for the panels. They're calling out for the operator. And once they have 2 called out and hit on this side, then they go to this receptacle here. This receptacle is the way to pass buffs back and forth to other players on your team. They go to the receptacle, they put in the scanner buff. The scanner buff appears in any of the receptacles in the map. The other player that is on light side that is willing to do the scanning role picks up the scanner buff. These doors will open. More ads will spawn, and this person needs to guide the operator to the last 2 panels on the light side. And you need to call out this example. There's pillar and wall. There's 2. The operator needs to know which one they need to shoot. The operator, if this is done very, very quickly, you are able to get all 4 panels in one run. 4 panels starts the damage phase. If not, if you're going a little slow, if you're having trouble with ads, that kind of thing, the operator can call out that they need to get out. They put the operator buff into the receptacle that will be down low. And their teammate up top that is also comfortable grabbing the operator role grabs the operator and then goes and hits the doors and lets the person out. This is the receptacle. They put in the operator buff. They wait at the door. Their teammate comes with the operator buff. They hit the panels. Once you hit this panel, this door will open and their teammate is able to get out. Once their teammate leaves, all the doors shut. This player, the new operator, comes down, and then they go to light side and finishes off the 4. Once the panels are hit, alarms will sound, and more ads will spawn. These ads, you need to make sure to keep an eye out for exploding shanks. There are a lot of ads that come out all at once. The light and dark side should have a bubble or a well placed down to help with ad clear, to help with survivability. And the person that is down low with operator buff passes their operator back up top through the terminal. The person with scanner or seeker passes the seeker buff down low. Only 1 buff can be put in a receptacle at a time. So when you're passing like this, your teammates need to be aware to pick up before a new one can be placed. The person down low grabs the scanner buff. Now that they have scanner buff, 1 of these 6 fuses will be lit up yellow. The person down low calls out which one. So this is dark side of the map. Again, keep that in mind when you're down here. This is dark side. This is light side. If you're looking here, say they have middle fuse, middle dark. This would be middle dark. The team up top on dark side shoots that middle fuse until it explodes and is destroyed, and then a new one will be highlighted. Say in this example, light left is the new one that's highlighted. The team on light side shoots the left one, and so on until all 6 fuses are destroyed. If all 6 are not able to be destroyed in one phase, the seeker, the person down low, passes their seeker buff back up. The person with operator at the time shoots the door panels to allow this person to get out, and you reset the phase just as before. The seeker shows the operator exactly which panels to shoot, pass buffs as needed, and then as the damage phase starts, you shoot the rest of the fuses for the encounter to be over. It is more than possible with the right loadouts to get all 6 fuses in one go. But if you don't, do not panic. Just regroup as a team, get your rolls back, and just go again. Once you're done with the encounter, the chest spawns here. You grab your loot, and you move on to the next encounter.
Got it right now.
Okay. Shooting door.
On the pillar right below me. pillar and get moving. Wall.
Okay, pass through.
Passed.
Pillar.
Okay.
And then this one too.
All right, I'll pass operator up.
I'm ready to grab it. Nice.
Got it.
Okay. We've got dark left,
Dark left.
dark middle. We have light left. Light right. Light middle.
Oh, and don't shoot the
Okay.
next one, right? We wipe.
Passing augment up.
Galaxy, can you grab it?
Someone grab operator and let me out, and then we'll wipe.
Okay.
That's good. Has someone grabbed operator already?
I've already got it.
Nice.
Okay. And then you go down. You go down.
There's 3 over there. Scanner down.
Alright, I have scanner. Pillar on me.
Okay, next.
Wall on me.
Okay.
Passing.
Pillar on me. Galaxy.
Wood. Okay.
Yeah. And pillar on the Galaxy.
Over down.
All right.
Okay, do some damage.
Passing up operator.
Taking it.
Grabbing scanner. Okay, dark side first. Middle, dark middle. Dark right. Light right. Light left. Dark side, whichever one. Dark left. Dark. Light middle.
Do you wanna?
Okay. Then I'll pass operator back down to you. Actually, you can't do that yet, can you?
Yeah, no.
All right, pass up.
Scanner coming up.
Yep.
And now I'll take operator.
And welcome to the second encounter, Atrax 1. This encounter is essentially the same concept as the security encounter you just made it through, but just a little different. The recommended loadout for this is definitely going to be a sword for damage. Lament is an insanely good weapon that does a ton of damage and makes this phase much easier. So Lament is probably the #1 damage for this encounter, along with some decent ad clear, and you're going to have some large servitors that spawn, so a sniper or a shotgun or something along those lines is good. Risk Runner is still very good for damage mitigation and ad clear, but you want to have a good falling guillotine or a good sword to go along with that as well if you're not using lament. So this encounter, you split up your teams 3 and 3 again. You're going to send 3 people to space, and there's going to be 3 people that stay down low here with where I am. You start the encounter by sliding into the orb here. The 3 people that go to space will go in pods that come down in these shafts here. The operator buff is going to spawn down low in 1 of 3 places, left, middle, or right. And the scanner buff, the seeker buff, will be up top, spawning in 1 of the 3 locations there. So make sure you have someone that's designated as an operator and someone that's designated as a seeker to start the encounter off with. Once ads spawn, servitors will come in. You want to make sure you keep 1 servitor alive, because once all servitors are dead, the damage phase will start up top. Once the team is ready, everyone has the buff. Your seeker has their buff up top, most importantly. The last servitor can be killed, and then damage phase starts. With damage phase, the seeker needs to look for one of his 4 projections that's highlighted yellow. Once that is identified, the seeker tells their team where to go. So it's either, we call it window, front, left, or right. The 2 other people that are up there with the seeker go to them and then count down 3, 2, 1, or however you want to coordinate it, and then damage the boss with as much sword damage as much as you possibly can. If you have time, you have about 7 seconds before the boss will wipe you. So if you have your people there and you have time, then you can put down a bubble, you can put down a well, all those types of damage buffs, and then hit the boss with as much as you possibly can. After 1 damage phase, the seeker up top needs to pass their seeker buff down low, and the operator down low needs to be passed up top. Once this is done, the operator always stays up top. So the operator buff gets passed. Your person up top that was designated as the operator buff holder grabs the operator buff, and the seeker is put into the receptacle to go down to the person that's going to be seeking down low. Once the damage phase is done on one of the bosses, you'll notice an orb will be dropped on the ground that's picked up by one of your players, and that will be a Atrax replication debuff that lasts about 40 seconds. If this debuff makes it to 0, you are essentially wipe. So the job of the operator up top is to shoot one of the 4 doors up top that has panels next to it, allow the teammate that has the debuff to go into that door, and then the operator shoots off the debuff from that player into the door so it gets jettisoned to space. If the player has their timer reaching 0, they can call out for the operator to shoot the buff off of them to reset the timer. So players on your teams need to make sure that they are aware of their debuff, calling out how much time that they have, and the operator needs to be telling them which door they need to go to for them to get the buff shot off of them and then put out the orbit. Once the buff is shot off, make sure that the person that is in the door gets out, because it will shut on them and kill them if they wait too long. Once the player has the debuff off of them, they can go back doing their normal job. Again, clearing ads, making sure that you're getting ready for damage phase. At the same time, the seeker down low will be calling out which of Atrax's projections is the right one to damage. It'll be highlighted yellow. The players down low will damage the boss, and he will drop another orb on the ground that one of the players down low will pick up, and they will use a pod that's down low to go up to space so that the operator can direct them to a door to put their buff in and jettison orb to space. It's very important that the operator make sure that there's some pods that are down low. Typically you send 3 down because you'll eventually need your full team up at the top anyways. By shooting the panels on the wall, the operator sends or brings up a pod, depending on where it is. So the operator has 3 jobs: to make sure that the buff is off the players, that they open the door to jettison those debuffs, shooting them off their players, and they have the pods going down for the players down low. Once the player that was originally started down low gets their debuff taken off, they go back down and they help their team again down low. This is essentially the damage phase over and over. The scanner buff gets passed from top to bottom, back to top, back to bottom, as many times as necessary in terms of boss damage, until you reach the very, very end of his bar, where you have the break. Once you hit that break in the bar, The 3 people down low should come up top because you're going to be reaching the last stand phase. During the last stand phase, you'll have 8 projections that are spawned all over the place up top in space. One of those projections, the Seeker will need to call out, the team goes to, and you damage the same way that you've been doing this whole time. If you need to stay alive up top, you can place a well, you can place a bubble for your team to congregate around. There's very, very few things that are going to be able to kill you up there, but if you get shot by all the projections at once, you're going to have a rough time. So make sure you keep your team alive. Everyone goes to the same projection. If you're unable to kill the projection in one go, another one will be highlighted. So the Seeker needs to make sure that they keep their eyes out and they're looking for the next projection that's highlighted yellow. Once you do enough damage to the boss, he will die. You have to be careful. He can get his health back sometimes just through lag, delay, just some mechanics in Destiny. Make sure that the boss is dead, the health bar is gone, you collect your loot, and then you move on to the next encounter. And welcome to the third encounter. This encounter is pretty interesting. The loadouts that you're going to want to take are basically just add clear style loadouts. You're going to have some big yellow bar captains. You're going to have some overload champions that come in, and swords are again one of the best options. Some general add clear. Risk runner again is very, very good for damage mitigation and add clear if you get hit by arc. A shotgun is good. Just whatever you're comfortable with for add clear in general and add control. Wells, bubbles, tethers, all types of those things are very, very good. You're going to want to split your team into 3 teams of 2. You're going to send one team to the left. There's going to be one team that stays middle and one team over on the right. The addition of the suppressor buff is going to be a little interesting in this one. The 3 buffs will spawn one on the right side, one in the middle, and one on the left side. The team that picks up each buff you can assign, so no matter where the buff spawns, you can have a person pick it up, or you could have just whatever buff gets spawned in front of a team, that team picks it up and uses it from there. We'll start with the operator buff, the red buff. There's 4 receptacles here that are going to spawn nuclear orbs. One here, one there, and it's the same on the other side. You have one here and one there. Once you get done clearing ads, an alarm will sound, and those receptacles are going to turn yellow. It could be both on the right side. It could be just one, because only 3 orbs are going to spawn per run. You only want 2 to spawn, so you have to shoot, the operator buff has to shoot the panel of one of the orbs that's spawning to stop it from spawning, so there's only 2. Typically, because we're going to be dunking in the middle, we want to keep the balls spawning as close to the middle as we possibly can. So, if I typically have the buff, I'm shooting the outside most that I possibly can. You can have your operator sitting in middle and shooting the leftmost or the rightmost, depending on which one's up. To me, as long as you have a team that's able to coordinate who's going to pick up the orbs once they spawn, it's not too big of a deal. Just shoot the right outermost if it's spawning. Otherwise, shoot the middle one. As it's spawning, you'll see it's turning yellow, and there'll be lines that'll start from top down. Ideally, you want your lines to get to 3 before you shoot the panel to give the rest of the team enough time to do what they need to do. So, in this encounter, say this right one's spawning, I'm waiting for it to get to 3. Once it hits 3 bars, I shoot that. It stops this one from spawning, and it spawns the other 2 that are spawning on the map. Your teammates, or you, as the operator buff, could pick up the orb, and then you run it to middle and dunk it in one of these 4 receptacles. As you're running the orb, you'll notice that there's going to be a radiation debuff that's on you that's counting up from 1 to 10. Once you hit 10, you will die. So, if you're getting close to 10, you can call out for a teammate to come grab the buff from you by just holding E right on you, and they will take the orb from you, and they will have their timer go from either 0 if they had no radiation before, or if they had radiation previously, it'll start from what number they're currently at and start going up again. So this buff, red buff, you start. So red buff is responsible for making sure that one of the orbs does not spawn, and after shooting the panel, the other 2 orbs that are going to spawn do. The scanner buff, yellow buff, is going to be looking at these 4 receptacles here in middle. There will be 2 that will be lit up each phase of dunks, and all you have to do is call out which 2 are lit up for the people that have the nuclear reactors to go and dunk within those receptacles. We call them typically L1, L2, 1 being closer to the spawn point, R1, R2. You can call glass side, you can call front side, whatever your team's comfortable with, but typically we do L1, L2, R1, R2. The blue suppressor buff is going to be a little different. Once the balls spawn and the dunking phase is started, the drones here, there's 1 here, there's 1 in middle, and 1 on left. They'll all open up and have a circle underneath them that the suppressor buff needs to go stand underneath and shoot the boss in. So this one, you find the boss wherever he is. He could be walking around this whole general area. You stand in the circle, you shoot him. He'll have a blue shield on him when you know that you're able to shoot him. Shoot him, a green pulse will emanate from where you are when you know that you've shot him. You move on to the next one. You shoot a couple shots into him, a green pulse, and then you move to the last one. After you go into the last one, he will be stunned, and those receptacles that your team is trying to bring the reactors to dunk them in will go from offline to able to be dunked in. If they are offline, the person that is stunning has not successfully stunned the boss. You need to make sure that that happens in order to dunk the balls. The dunking phase needs to happen a multitude of times. So after each dunk phase, the 2 reactors are dunked in middle, 1 of the 3 buffs will be deactivated. It will say augment deactivated. If you are a person holding this, you have to go to the receptacle here. You have to put your augment in, and your teammate that you're paired with will pick it up, and they will assume that role. If it's deactivated, obviously you will not be able to use that augment. So it's very important after a dunk phase that the 3 people that have either operator, scanner, or suppressor check their buffs to see if they're deactivated. They are. They put it in the receptacle, their teammate picks it up, and you keep going. After about 5 or 6 phases of dunking the balls in the middle, the ads will despawn, the Crypt AI will start talking, and this middle door will open. Basically from here, it's just a mad dash to the end. You're going to not be shooting ads. You can if you want a little bit, but there's really no need to shoot the ads. Just keep running forward to the very, very end, make it through the door, and wait for the final encounter. All right.
L1, R1.
Both of us got it.
Hammertime's gone L1.
I got R1.
Stunned.
What the hell?
It is L1 or L2 R2. L2 R2.
Alright. There's 1 up here on catwalk. Never mind.
He's down.
Oh, they're
Alright.
both outside. Okay. You guys grab them. I'll grab it from Galaxy.
I shouldn't need this grab. Okay.
Drop it.
Both once again. So R1, L1.
I'll get that ID.
Okay.
How much? I don't know what your timer is.
I
your
have no
radiation's
radiation, so
Got our
Okay, you
one.
want to just grab it? You get like close if need be.
I'll just grab it and go. That's there we go. I have deactivated. So this should be last, right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Another exotic. What the hell?
Knucklehead radar too.
That's 2 in this one raid.
Nice, dude.
Wait, 2 knuckleheads or just 2 exotics?
2 exotics.
I'm never gonna forget
Knuckleheads.
first time I went through here. It got all the way to the end right before this light room. They just stood around, not sure what to do.
Oh no, you didn't go all the way through the door?
No.
Oh
Well, the
no.
boss was
That's
already
unfortunate.
there. The door was shut.
This is where you can do my absolutely favorite joke. People who are new.
Ah, nerd. You have to stand on Waylord.
Did you hit the button?
Shit, the fuck.
You didn't hit the button running through the hallway? That's
Dude.
This part freaked me out the first time, I'm not gonna lie.
They just
Yeah.
make it look bad.
Lock.
Oh, rip the flaws.
Yeah, I
How'd
know.
you die?
He
It's the
lands inside
material,
of a part. It's really dumb.
it's the material that spawns in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the best strategy is everyone groups in the middle. You just sit.
All right, everyone, welcome to the final encounter. Congratulations making it this far. The final encounter is interesting in that it takes every single mechanic that we've learned and puts them all together and adds a little bit extra, as usual. We have the receptacles for trading all over the map here. Each main point of the map, you have white side, you have blue side, and you have orange side. There's a receptacle in each of those. The boss is in the middle section. You shoot the middle or you walk there to start the encounter. The red buff, the operator buff, will be spawning on the white side here, coming out of these doors. The yellow buff, scanner buff, will be coming from the blue side over there. And the suppressor will be coming from orange side. The encounter starts and you basically just clear ads. The boss will hang out in the middle. As you're clearing ads, captains will spawn. So good loadouts for this are swords for clearing ads, snipers for boss damage, slug shotguns. If you have very good slug shotguns with like auto-loading vorpal weapon, that kind of thing, slugs are very, very good. Anarchies are good if you're using the slug shotguns or snipers. Izanagi's with grenade launchers is very good. Xenophage is also good. Just the normal high DPS type weapons. But someone will definitely need to have a divinity on. Divinity just helps with the crits, it helps with ease of damage, and it obviously increases damage. At the time of making this, there is a known buff. If someone's running high energy fire in your group, it lowers the overall damage of your entire team using divinity on the boss. So I would not recommend using a high energy fire or having anyone in your fire team with it at all. So you start the encounter, add spawn, the 3 buffs drop and they're picked up by designated players on your team. I will start by saying there's 2 different ways of doing this. There's a short version and a long version. I'm going to start with the long version and then show you the short version as well. Once the scanner buff is picked up, there's 6 receptacles around the map. That 2 of them that will be lit up and need to be called out like the previous encounter. How we number our receptacles typically, and it could vary depending on your team, whatever works, just communicate with your team. Receptacle 1's here in blue. This is 2. Or in white, I'm sorry, in white. In blue, there's 3, 4. We're basically going clockwise, starting from the first receptacle nearest to our spawn, or the flag. 5, and 6. The scanner team calls out the 2 that are lit up, types them in chat so you can remember them easily. Or if you're playing on console, you can write it down, whatever works for you. The boss will randomly go to one of 3 sides. He'll go to orange side, blue side, or white side. Once he makes it to his spot, he will have 4 corners that'll light up, his wheels or feet, essentially. The normal way, you want to shoot off 2 of his feet, the front 2, So he drops 2 nuclear reactors. The scanner team picks up those 2 nuclear reactors and they call out which receptacle they're going to go to. One goes to one of them, the other goes to the other. The non-red or blue buff people on those teams will follow along with those people in case that they make it to that 10 radiation count. Once they make it to 10, they die. So at about 5, they'll call out, I'm at 5 radiation. Their partner takes the orb from them, and then their partner takes it the rest of the way. So you can keep radiation balanced out correctly. As the orb runners are running, you want to make sure that you stay away from them if you're not running an orb, especially if you're on the red operator buff. The red buff will shoot the detainment that randomly happens on one of the orb runners. It holds them in place, and if you get detained over a certain amount of time, you will die. So the red buff, as soon as that happens, needs to keep an eye on both orb runners and shoot that detainment off of them with just a normal primary weapon or whatever you have. Just takes 1 or 2 shots, the detainment will be gone. Oh, while this is all happening, the orb runners are running and operator buff is shooting off detainment. The suppressor buff person should be staying underneath one of the drones on the side that the boss went to. As soon as the orbs are dropped, the boss will emanate a pulse, a blue pulse, and the drones will open up for the suppressor to stun the boss. So as soon as that happens, the suppressor should be shooting the boss in each of the 3 drones, suppressing him, and bringing online the receptacles for the nuclear reactors to be dunked into. It should happen as fast as possible because the longer you wait around, more ads will be spawning. Your orb runners will start running into ads. And a lot of bad things could happen. So suppressor person needs to move as quickly as possible. A good way that has been found is to shoot an anarchy on him. And as long as the anarchy is ticking on him, you can just run through each of the circles with the drones, and the anarchy ticks will count as a hit underneath the drone. You can use whatever you want here, though. It just depends on the loadout of the person running suppressor. After the 2 orbs are dunked, then one of the buffs will be deactivated and will need to be switched with the other person on the team of 2 in the receptacles. So say, for example, suppressor got deactivated. The person with deactivated augment comes to the receptacle, they put it in, and their suppressor teammate that started with them will pick that up, and then they will now be the suppressor. And the person that was the suppressor will be running with one of the orb runners from the scanner yellow team when they pick up the orbs. So the boss will go to the next section. You drop the second 2 orbs. You put them in the receptacles that the scanner team calls out again, because it will be different this time. And then after that, damage phase will begin. So after you dunk the second time, the second 2 orbs, you should have your team meet up in a central area. It really doesn't matter, but generally these flat ground areas are pretty good. You stand back here because you can see here that there's 2 rings. There's an inner ring and there's an outer ring. The boss, once he's ready for damage, will throw up a bunch of debris and an electric field around him. You want to get in. You want to make sure you don't get hit by the debris that will be on the outer ring that will be spinning around him. So the best way to do that is to jump over the debris once you're ready, and you want to land in this first ring for damage. So how we typically do it, and it's up to your team, is a Titan bubble will be laid down here. Your team waits for damage. Once damage starts, then you jump up and over the debris and into the first ring, and another warlock on your team lays down a well, or another bubble is placed, whatever you have on your team at the time. And then a divinity person, as they are jumping over, starts divinity on the boss. The divinity bubble will be at the very, very bottom of him. And so the players on your team will need to shoot the bottom of the divinity bubble to do maximum damage to him. As you were doing the damage, as you were doing as much damage as you possibly can, the boss will go immune for a couple seconds and he'll knock you back. Don't jump, don't do anything, just let him knock you back. Generally, he'll knock you straight backwards and into the bubble that will still be up from the first time. You get your bubble buff again, you jump over the debris and back into that first ring, and you do another round of damage. You do this again if necessary. You run the orbs, you do the 2 rounds of dunking, and then you come back for a damage phase until the boss reaches his last little segment where the break in the line is. Once you reach final stand damage, once you hit that line in his health bar, your team will want to follow him around the map because he'll start teleporting to all the places that he could have gone to before. and you just need to keep as much damage up as you possibly can on him. You need to keep an eye out for the meteors that'll be raining down, similar to when you were breaking his feet. So make sure you are not standing in one place for too long, and you just keep following along with the boss and shooting him with divinity, with supers, with whatever the damage you have left ammo wise. And hopefully you have teammates on your team that were using special ammo finishers to drop ammo for you on the ground until the boss is dead. Generally, damage is not too tight on this one, and you should have more than enough, so it's not too big of a deal. But make sure that you're keeping along with him and you keep moving so you don't get crushed by the meteors that are raining from the sky. After that, you go collect your chest, you take a look at it, you celebrate, you hug it out, and you've completed the Deep Zone Crypt raid. Congratulations, you did awesome. Now, the easier way that a lot of teams have started using in terms of getting to the damage phase is instead of breaking 2 of the feet, you break 4. When you break 4, the idea is you don't have to really scan. You don't have to do any of that stuff. The only buffs that matter are the operator buff and the suppressor buff. Once you break 4, whatever side he goes to, so say in an example, he goes to the white side, you want to take all 4 of those balls to the receptacles that are not on the side that he's on. So you would take 2 balls to the orange side and 2 of the balls to the blue side. Dunk in those receptacles, and then damage phase will immediately start from there, and you will have an extra knockback phase of damage. So you have 3 rounds of damage versus 2. Obviously, it's a much more efficient way of going about and doing damage. It cuts out a lot of the need for mechanics. It does make it a little bit more difficult for the operator to shoot off the detainment debuff. So operator, make sure you stay away as much as possible from orb runners. And then if you are the suppressor person, suppress as fast as you possibly can, because the people that are carrying the orbs will likely be somewhere between 8 and 10 by the time that they make it to the receptacles, and the ads are spawning as well. If your teammates die, make sure to help them out. If you do not have a role, suppressor, if you've suppressed the boss, make sure you keep an eye out for a player that might have died, an orb that dropped on the ground, so that you don't wipe due to that. Generally, you do that 1 or 2 times, just depending on the damage that you have on your team, and you should bring down the boss to his final stand, and you can complete it from there. So this is obviously the preferred way with a lot of teams now. The less mechanics you have to do, the better. So I think a lot of teams will end up running this. So just keep an eye out, break 4 orbs, you drop the 4 orbs where he is not, and then you get 3 rounds of damage. And if you have to do that twice, you do it. And keep an eye out, if you have to do another round, keep an eye out for that deactivated augment, especially if it's a suppressor or the operator, and make sure that you switch those in the receptacles there.
This goes.
Yep.
I mean, can't we still? No, wait.
I think we would have won phase him last time if we hadn't lost somebody.
Could have. Or if I backwards, I think we would have gotten it.
Yeah. That was some really sick damage.
I do not have my super, but I'm full on ammo.
I have scanner, but we're doing the 3-1, so that doesn't matter.
Yep. Correct.
Side.
I'll still suppress your hammer.
Yep, that's good.
Oh, I have no. Yeah, he should be going to orange.
Make sure you're doing special ammo finishers if you can, back there, like where we are going to do our damage bubble from.
Yeah, it should be a hunter who does that, by the way. If we have we have multiple.
We get them all? Yep.
Yep.
I'm going to 3.
I got 4.
I'm going to 1.
I'm going to 2.
Galaxy detained.
Suppress.
This is gonna be close.
Guys good?
Yeah.
Nice.
Made
Good
it
stuff.
on 9.
Alright, let's clear out this captain back here.
Yeah.
I'll
That was
drop
a little
low.
early on the bubble. That's
Yeah, I
okay.
realized that after popping it, but
All
we
good,
should be
all good.
fine.
It's fine, we'll have well.
I'll put down second wall if we need it, which we think we do for the long phase.
Yeah.
No!
No.
Good try.
We might actually trigger him.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
White
You
type
might-
damage, he says.
Should be able to get him with core.
Who's deactivated, by the way?
I'll pick up operator.
I already gave us operator.
Yeah, operator is the thing.
I got it.
We would have probably got that if I popped my bubble in the correct time.
Oh, you're good.
sorry.
Yeah, we actually would have, but you're good. Not worried about it.
Yeah.
We'll try and forgive you.
Not pointing fingers here, but yeah, totally.
Yeah, not pointing fingers, but you fucked up.
Looks like he's gone to blue.
Yeah, so it's everything that's not blue.
Right, I'll get one.
I'll get 2. Oh, I just grabbed yours, I'm sorry.
Galaxy
Okay.
detained. I'm gonna need to switch someone. I'm going to 6. Someone's gonna go and switch around.
Suppress. I'll come to help Galaxy.
I think I'm good. Wait,
Nice.
please.
Oh,
took it from
we
you.
got him.
Oh,
Boy.
You ready for damage? Clear out this
I
guy.
heard please, and I was just like, I'm grabbing it.
Yeah, save your special, use primary to finish him for last stand.
Bubble.
Last stand.
Shoot him with your big guns.
Spawn.
Behind us. So that is my Sherpa's raid guide to Deep Zone Crypt. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I will be putting out more content like this in the future. Educational type guides, builds, theory crafting, all types of different stuff on the channel. So keep an eye out for that. But I hope this helps some of you. I would appreciate any and all feedback in the comment section. Let me know if there's something else, some other way to craft the content, put the information out there for you. I will do my best. And also, as usual, please subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell, all that good stuff. It helps me out so much. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.